All right, what's going on, people? We are live. This is BMOC. You're now tuned into BMOC.TV. Tonight we have a very controversial episode. I've been waiting for this episode my whole life. I had to fight. In our Facebook group, we've had these debates on a frequent basis about Tupac. Is he the legend that people say he is? Is he overrated? Where's his place in hip hop history? So we have two teams tonight. We got Team Pac. We got Team Pac ain't all that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna try to moderate this thing. So starting off with Team Pac, Deshauna, say what's up to the people.
Y'all know what it is. I apologize, for taking it up a notch tonight, but it's very serious. This is a business trip. We got things that need to be handled. That's all I gotta say. 3,500. Shout out to Slim Ross. Happy birthday, boy. Get back.
I love that. That shirt is dope. Team Pac, Drew, say what's up to the people.
What's going on, y'all? Like Pac said while explaining the game, niggas ain't listening.
Ooh! We come up with bars already. All right. Team Pac, Chris.
Simple, man. It's that simple, man.
Chris, Team Pac, say what's up to the people, man.
Yo, what's going on? Y'all already know it's your boy, the baddest chaplain, here represent for the icon himself, the late great Tupac Shakur. We're gonna do a great job. You know how it goes.
Feeling the cardigan, man. Cardigan. As
that's right.
You know what I mean? Leading Team Pac ain't all that. Mr. Controversial. Chad, say what's up to the people.
What's up, everybody? Just here to let people know the real. That Pac, as good as he was bringing the content, the lyrics just wasn't there, man.
Okay. This is the intro. It's the intro. Hold on. I got you. Serge, and finally on Team Pac and all that, all the way from Romania.
Yeah,
Serge, people, man.
Yeah, what's up? It's Serga, aka Cerberus, and Pac ain't all that. But as we all know, real recognize real.
Real recognize real. So tonight's gonna be a good one. So before we start, again, it's gonna be a good balanced debate. I'm trying to moderate this thing as much as I can. Before we get into the debate, let's just state some facts real quick, right? Things that can be debated, things that Chad is probably not gonna care about, but I'm gonna say anyway. So let's run down this facts real quick. This is factual, not opinion based. Tupac at the moment has sold over 75 million records, the 87th highest selling artist of all time. He was actually in the Guinness Book of World Records as the highest selling MC with 67 million sold. He has the 6th and 7th highest selling rap album ever in rap history, Greatest Hits and All Eyes on Me, which went 10 times platinum. 11 solo records, 5 before his death, 6 after his death. Dear Mama is one of the 25 songs added by Congress to the National Recording Registry. He's only the 3rd rapper to do that behind Grandmaster Flash and Public Enemy. 14 documentaries, starting over 8 films. Forbes lists as the highest selling deceased artist before Whitney and MJ. Tupacalypse Now, gold, Strictly for My Ends, platinum, Me Against the World, double platinum, All Eyes on Me, diamond, and the Don Illuminati 4 times platinum. These are just some facts and stats, people, of things that we can't really debate because they are what they are. But if we go to the conversation, it's all good. So,
MC Hammer with platinum.
Stop.
But he didn't go platinum 5 times. So Deshaun is leading this. Well, Chad, since you want to jump into the intro, tell me, why do you think Pac wasn't all that? Let me know. Holla at me.
All right. My major reason for being on the team of the Pac is overrated is because, lyrically, bar for bar, he don't stack up the other rappers that have existed alongside of him and rappers that have since come along after his passing. So I really can't rate him in the top 10 MCs because, lyrically, he lacking. Bar for bar, he don't measure up.
Okay. Deshaun,
it's just simple as that.
Man,
what's the rebuttal?
So, first of all, I need to clear something up for the people. Do not be fooled, people at home. That man that is moderating this thing is on Team Pac and all that. You don't do that over here on the West Coast.
What do you mean?
Or you ride with the buses over there. Anybody that's been on Facebook, go where Wall stands. Now, as it pertains to my exact rebuttal, I got some other notes, but my rebuttal to that, it's funny that, folks that like to argue for bars stay mentioning the term MC.
Yeah.
And when people say he's not a top 10 MC, it's kind of the worst argument you can make, because nowhere in the description of an MC does it say lyrically. An MC is a master of ceremonies, moving the crowd, getting people amped. And if you're selling 75 million records worldwide and selling out shows, that's kind of more of a definition of an MC, to move the crowd, that people come see you in a hologram form and the crowd is still moving. So don't bring me that lyrical mess just because, we got this, kind of Bronx, New York base that think MC is an equivalent to lyrics. It's not.
All right, Drew, what do you have to say about that, man?
Yeah, I think because initially I don't want to misquote you, but we did it was the top 10 MCs, right? You didn't have Pac in the top 10, right, Chad?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Me either.
Okay, now. Lyrically, bar for bar, just quoting what you guys say, is he as good as Eminem? No. Or Nas? No. But he's listening to records like I Got My Mind Made Up. When he's on records with a song like Method Man, Redman, guys who are considered great MCs. If Pac's holding his own, if not better, than they are on that song. So he might not do all the lyrical gymnastics that certain guys do, but he's been in any form, any arena with some of the best rappers ever, and got busy right there with them. To me, it's not always about necessarily the lyrical, miracle, spiritual type thing, but also just making words matter that touch people in a certain way.
That was hot.
Pac did that. To me, it's good.
That was hot. You did.
As anybody, my favorite Pac verse of all time is on Trade War Stories, and and to me, certain I want to quote it, but I don't want to cuss too much on this video. But
please try to get them sponsors. Please try to get them sponsors out here, the corporations.
Yeah, when he says things the fear of suckers are born every day and fear of man grow on trees. It's when he's looking around the rap and he's seeing guys, he thinks set him up, tried to kill him, stuff like that, and seeing they're not really built like that. It's just deep in the Pac's mind and why he felt how he felt, why he went so hard at guys. Everything he said was giving you insight to his thoughts. It wasn't fake. It was his real emotion. And that, to me, that makes you a great MC, giving you real emotion. And Pac did that as good as anybody ever.
And I agree with that. So I'm gonna get Chris and Serge in a second. So
can I rebuttal that real quick though?
Well, sure. Let me get 1 second. You know what, Chad? You speak first. I'm gonna come after you. So I have a couple of points. Go ahead, Chad.
All right. So he gave you real emotion, but I feel like any MC that gets on the mic giving you real emotion, that's how they really feel. Gucci Mane really feels what he's spitting. Everybody is feeling what they spitting. They really are behind the bars they're spitting.
Even Drake.
No, but it doesn't translate to their everyday life. You listen to a guy like Rick Ross, who people think is super nice. That I've heard people say that about. But he's saying a bunch of stuff that's not real. It's all fantasy. It's all make believe. Everything Pac's telling you are things that he's done. From his background. His mom's background with the Panthers and all that. Pac talking about situations with the police that he's dealt with. These are all coming from real places. It's not some fantasy made up thing just to get the club going or to impress some females. This is all real emotion. These are real things that are happening. You see this poetry. You see interviews when he was in high school.
Yeah. Well, let's just rewind just a second, because this is one of the criticisms of Pac. So of Pac. So a lot of people feel like he has been inconsistent in terms of his character, right? You have a guy who was born in New York, went to school in Baltimore, then moved to LA, and so The beginning was with Digital Underground. He's with Digital Underground. Well, first he's MC New York. He's with Digital Underground, you know, doing the Humpty dance. I like that song. I like the song. No shots. I really like that song. But after that, you know, he goes to jail and there's the whole Bishop stuff, and he comes out and he's super hardcore thug life out. And so a lot of people kind of confused about the character. Like, even though it's real emotion, what we saw from Pac necessarily wasn't the most consistent personality that we can kind of tie that emotion to. It's like, are some of the records real? Are some of the records kind of an act based upon what he learned later? Like, it's a lot of yin and yang with Pac's personality. I feel the people who debate his legacy always bring that up as far as the consistency. So, Chris, how do you feel about just the consistency of Tupac as a person?
I can say this, man. I feel like it's easy to look at Pac and call him a hypocrite for that. But he gave you the full range of human emotion that nobody feels happy all the time. So to say that like someone who gave you just party records was just always partying, that's probably not a full representation of who they actually were.
Right.
I think what it boils down to is we're talking about an MC list. That means move the crowd, a master of ceremonies. So the whole conversation about his lyricism, that's a worthy debate. But when it comes to actually being an MC, he's got to be on your top 10 list. He's got to be in that conversation of one of the greatest MCs of all time. Because honestly, he's the greatest rap icon of all time, to be real. If we think about it, there's no bigger icon in hip-hop than Tupac. There just really isn't. And furthermore, we talk about the raw emotion. Like, it's one thing for you to feel like, oh, wow, Drake has like an emotion on the song, Gucci has an emotion. Pac makes you feel whatever emotion he feels. He very much conveys that, even posthumously. So I think in terms of being an MC and giving you that emotion, that real, raw, uncut, Pac was one of the best to do it.
Serge, you're from Romania, born and raised on the playgrounds. I don't know, do I have playgrounds over there? I don't know, but I was gonna say spend most of your days. So, Serge, how do you feel about this whole Tupac, man? You don't seem Tupac ain't all that. Why are you thinking that Tupac really wasn't all that? Maybe a little overrated. Why you feel that way?
Well, I think let's say he's an overrated legend.
Okay.
Because he's not even my top 50 rappers of all time.
Jesus. Oh my God. Wow.
And
that's strong.
But I think he's the most influential rapper of all time. He influenced many of the rappers that we listen to today, like Kendrick and Eminem, just to name a few. And the thing that bugs me about Tupac is his lyricism and his really basic storytelling. He doesn't go really in depth with what he says. He just goes, I did this, I did that. Everyone could do that. Maybe that's why I don't like J. Cole that much, for example.
Oh my God! I'm saying J. Cole. How did J. Cole get shot? It's a Cole.
He'll be hearing from Erica.
Can I say one more thing? Hit 'em up ain't all that. There are a lot of these records way better than that. Way better. If you say Biggie is fat, that doesn't make it a good diss record.
Hey, well, I gotta comment to the whole the contradiction thing.
Please, Drew.
Another guy.
Drew, before you start, if y'all got a TV on, please put it on mute or put it down. We hear some TV going back there. I hear some Family Guy, some Simpsons. I don't know. Drew, go ahead, man.
So when it comes to that contradiction thing, my favorite rapper is Nas, right?
Right.
And Nas got that label a lot as far as contradiction. And he had an interview on BET around when Stillmatic was out, and he said, a person, they asked him about his contradictions, and he said a person who doesn't have different emotions is not contradictive. Somebody somebody you should fear, because they're not feeling the whole range of emotions of life. And
exactly.
If Pac, sometimes if Pac makes a song like "I Get Around," like we're all guys here. Like there's been times where you're in that mood. There's sometimes you want to have a song like "Just Like Daddy," where you want to take care of a woman that you love.
Right.
There's different women. There's different people. You do a different kind. You might see. You might have some really solid friends. You might have some friends that are some weirdos who ain't loyal. You might see dudes. This is also so Pac is one record. You might see something going on and he write about it because that's what was going on in that moment. And also too, one thing I understand too, we forget that Pac did so much, but he was so young.
Right.
We're talking about the contradiction of a guy who was 19, 20 years old. Like you listen to Pac talk when he was in high school. Like he sound like a guy who's lived a lot. He was 17 years old. Like he died at 25. Like we're talking about a kid. Like Pac was saying stuff that I'm 32 and I haven't even. You know, because he's lived a lot too. He lived on different coasts. He lived in private schools. He's dealt with all kinds of different people. So how can you not have a different perspective on different songs at different times? Look what he's been through. He's went from New York to Maryland to the Bay to LA. He's had to do different things to get on in the industry. Whether he had to blow up dolls or pump Public Enemy, or maybe he had a situation in LA where he had to shoot some cops. Like life takes you different places.
Well, hold on, because we gotta back up. So when we talk about Tupac, we talk about him being young. We have to mention that Nas was 18 when Illmatic came out. We have to mention that Biggie was also around, 24, 25. So a lot of these guys happen to be young when they do it. So I mean that even though we have to give Tupac that credit, there's a lot of MCs that happen to be that age, and they were still, you would say, more lyrical, miracle, spiritual than Tupac. Me personally, I'm gonna tell you why Tupac's not in my top 10. Okay. I am not a Tupac hater. I think here you go. I think Tupac is one of the most influential rap icons, as Chris said, that we have in the game. The reason why he's not in my top 10 is because I started listening to hip hop seriously in 1994. I was in the 4th grade, right? I can't pretend like I was listening to it in the 80s. I was just born in 84, right? Mm-hmm. In 1994, the first cassette tape that I listened to was Illmatic. Being in Virginia, hearing this guy named Nas do lyrical circles. Before that, I was in MC Hammer. It was Kid and Play. It was all this stuff I wasn't listening to. I was just a young kid.
Vanilla Ice.
Color. No, not Vanilla Ice. Sorry, that was you. That was you. Michael Jackson R&B. So I didn't really take rap seriously until maybe like 94 in the 4th grade. And so that set a precedent for me in terms of what a lyricist was. You're thinking New York, you're thinking lyrical MCs. So then comes Redman, then comes Busta Rhymes, then comes Biggie, and all these cats are doing lyrical, miracle, spiritual stuff. And when I listened to Pac, it was different, and it wasn't bad, but it wasn't the lyrical level that I was used to. Yeah, you drinking on the mic.
My bad.
Lyrical stuff that I was used to when I first introduced to it. Now when I got older and I checked back Pac's catalog with the All Eyes on Me and the Me Against the World, and even had a song paying tribute to all the guys I'm talking about in a song. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the MCs, all that. So then I appreciated Pac later. But by that time, my top 20 list was already created. There was no room. I can't take out Redman. I can't take out Nas. I can't take out I can't take out Eminem. They were already set. So that's why Tupac isn't in my top, because my standard was set by Nas, and that's a very high level to hear. Like maybe if I started with Big Daddy Kane or started with Rakim, I could have heard more of the knowledge. But really, as a kid, I was like the lyrical miracle, word flipping, and the metaphors. And he's a gun. And he's rapping backwards. Like I wasn't getting that from the alternative. So it wasn't that Pac was whack, it was what I was introduced to. And I feel some people who have that stigma with Pac, it's not necessarily they don't like him, they were introduced to just the lyrical, miracle, spiritual rappers first. Yeah. So Chad, what played into your introduction of Pac and you taking the stance that you have right now?
All right, so the first Pac song I heard was Trapped.
Okay.
That was the first song I heard. I was real young when I first heard that track. So, he was trapped, they can't keep the black man down. I was feeling that, that was deep. Okay. But Pac came out, I forgot which album it was. It was he made the joint Keep Your Head Up.
Okay.
Keep Your Head Up was a very positive song at the time. It galvanized the people. I know a lot of women were feeling a sense of pride because Pac, he was raising people's spirits with that song, and that was a really big record. But then the next single is I Get Around. Yeah. Like and then that's just a song disrespecting women. You build them up and break them down like you playing Tetris. So even when I was a kid, I understood that this the same dude that made that positive song. He comes back with something negative. Like he should have came with some more positive reinforcement and that's when I first got the negative vibe from Pac. But later on, you know, growing up in the South, some of my favorite music was basically Outkast, because that's pretty much all we had, and I would compare that to Tupac, and I felt like Outkast was just a lot better than Tupac. The beats, I mean, the beats were better, the bars were better, the lyrics, like you had the double entendre. Pac introduced none of that in his rhymes. His format was very plain. The flow was the same on just about every song. I mean, you could go album to album, even the posthumous albums that came out after he deceased. His flow never changed. I mean, I don't know how many years he spent in the game, but the flow, it just stayed the same. And like every rapper can switch their flow up. Every MC I consider to be great, they'll rhyme one way on a certain song, and then on the same album they'll come with a different flow.
Deshaunus, man, I see you over there. You're getting tight. You're getting tight right now.
I'm good. This conversation is going exactly where I want it to go.
Okay, go ahead, Deshaunus.
So, you know, it's funny because like what you guys said, it's kind of the picture of what we have of how I know that you're picking and choosing arguments that are just against Pac. Like a lot of folks in the group, and well deserved, talk about how Nas, you know, is the GOAT in their eyes.
Yeah.
But you know, we don't talk about, Shorty, black girl lost a Shorty, oh, you for ice. That didn't bother us. That didn't bother us when Nas is still on Life is Good talking about running through young women. That didn't bother us because you know what? All that matters is lyrics. Now let's talk about this lyrics for a minute. You know, I compare lyricism to scoring in basketball. You can't win without scoring, but if scoring was all that matters, then Michael Jordan would be the greatest of all time. We'd be talking about Kareem. If shooting was all that mattered, we'd be talking about Ray Allen. So let's talk now. When you talk about the impact, all of the other favorite artists that are mentioned in the Facebook group don't have to have great skills in order to acknowledge their impact. A prime example is Michael Jackson the best vocalist of all time? Because vocals are what matters with singing, right? He's not the best vocalist of all time. Not once do we have a debate. Not once do we have a pick one and somebody say, well, it depends on what you're talking about, because if we're talking about vocals, I'm going with Luther. No, instantly when you see the name Michael Jackson,
Skinny Luther.
Instantly equate with his greatness. Now, you had that same pick one on Pac. What we talking about? We talking about lyrics? Because if so, like, why we got to pick ones don't always come with instructions, but we add them. Missy Elliott, Chad himself called you out on Missy Elliott's bar. Wait, I'm going in, called you out on Missy Elliott's bars. And he was like, I understand, Chad, she ain't got bars like that, but it's about her impact. Same thing, we had a conversation with Janet, we have it with LL, we have it with everybody, and it's about impact. It's always a top precedent, except for when it comes to Tupac Shakur. That's the only time that I see an artist come in and the impact doesn't supersede a small fraction of skill. And it's not like he's Soulja Boy, a lyric, just because he's not wowing you. And the last point about the lyricism is it's about where you from. When we listen to UGK, we're not expecting what Nas do. When we listen to Nas, we're not expecting what Pac do. People in California felt Pac because look at the artists we put on. We put on folks that are from the streets, folks that bang, folks that are from the prison system, and they don't knock Nas and Jay like that. They want to hear stuff that they ride around, mob music, ride music that they can ride around and relate to instantly. That was his lane, his demographic. So that's why. Not that Pac couldn't write poetry. We saw the poetry from him. It was the fact that was his lane.
All right, well, Deshaun, let me rebuttal just a couple things. I'm gonna move it over to Chris. So, lyricism matters a lot when it comes to MCing, right? But we all can agree that's not the only thing that matters, right? I like Jeezy, right? And Jeezy is dope. Jeezy is not miracle, lyrical, spiritual with me. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's different levels. I think there's different buckets of categories. And I always say this, and I will go on record. I think Tupac scores in every single category, but the lyricism part is sometimes lax. And I feel like lyricism is the bigger part, but it isn't the only part. He's top. In terms of commercial appeal, he had that. In terms of touching people emotionally, he had that. The catalog has that. The record sales, he has it. The likability, he had it. He had all of it. The only thing that people criticize is the lyricism and the flow. The second thing I want to say in terms of just Tupac, I think it's not just about comparing it to where you're from, because he was from New York. and he's also from Maryland, and he's also from Oakland. He's also from L.A. Snoop Dogg is lyrical, spiritual in me in L.A. You know, there's a lot of cats in the Bay who's lyrical, spiritual in me. So Scarface, lyricist. You know what I'm saying? Andre 3000, lyricist. Nas from New York, lyricist. Lupe from Chicago, lyricist. Eminem from Detroit, lyricist. So there's lyricists all across the world. So it's not about what the slang may be different, but the flows can change up. And I gotta agree, Tupac did have the same flow. If you love the flow, great. He gave it to you every song. If you didn't like the flow, you're not in for a good time that night.
When did Jay-Z's when did Jay-Z's flow change? Besides when he
Big Pimpin' is different than Jigga Wet Jigga
Jay was trap. Jay,
go ahead.
Well, I mean, for the most part, Jay-Z's okay. Nas never changed his flow ever, not once.
Well, Chris made the face. Chris, do you disagree?
Man, I know every Nas song inside out.
I disagree.
From Life is the Barbecue to Life is Good.
I disagree.
Nas definitely tweaked
Man,
it.
what are we talking about, dog?
Can I chime in?
Hold on. It's getting crazy right here. Chris, man. Nas has been attacked 2 times. I'm counting. Chris, how do you feel about the Nas thing, man?
Yeah, because that's what's funny to me is that like every time it becomes a conversation about Tupac, certain MCs of his peer group sort of get dragged in the mud, right? Like if we're gonna defend Tupac, we don't need to defend Tupac and then sort of like bash Nas. I'm glad my man Chris Wallace has not been touched yet in this conversation. You know,
he will. He's coming up. He's coming up.
I'm sure he's coming up. I'm sure he's coming up. But my whole thing is going back to what we're talking about with lyricism with Pac. Yeah, I got you in terms of like saying that he wasn't as I guess sophisticated with the technique or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think what he valued more was the authenticity and that extreme realness that came across his messages. I'll use this example. That the MSG freestyle that Funk Flesh used to play on Hot 97 like all the time. You know, Biggie's Where Brooklyn At, right?
Yeah.
Pac, no one in any way, shape, or form would say Pac had the best verse or best freestyle on that song. But Pac had the energy that was just tops on that song. So what he lacked in terms of sophistication with the lyricism, he brought with that raw energy that you just felt like, yo, he's not saying anything that's too complex, but this brother really means what he's saying right now. So let's not try to say that his stuff was too elementary, but at the same time, you can't deny that he made up for that lack of lyricism with his raw energy. That's what really brought him to that level.
Which is part of being a dope MC.
Exactly. And I think, too, I'm going to get to you, Serge, in a second. I think, too, what kind of throws people off by Pac is that because Pac and Biggie, that whole East Coast, West Coast thing we're going to talk about in a second, I think people automatically, like, compare those two directly. Right? So if you just feel like if I'm a hardcore Biggie person, I can't like Pac because Pac doesn't like Biggie. But if I'm a hardcore Pac person, then what Biggie was saying was two of the same subject matter. So I think people criticize Pac for being inconsistent, then they criticize Biggie for talking about the same stuff in almost every song. That's what I hear. So if you like the Miracle Flippin', you like Biggie, you like what he was talking about. But if you don't like that, then it's with the Pac. Serge, man, talk to me, man. How you feel about
it? I agree with all what you guys said, especially with Chad, because...
No wonder. Of course you do! You're anti-Pac!
Yeah. Because when I'm listening to the music, I have to enjoy it. I have to enjoy the instrumental. And Pac doesn't give me that, if you know what I mean. Yeah, for real. I listened to all of his albums last week, and...
All last week. So all last week you went from Tupacalypse, you just went all through them. All 100,000 songs. Cool, okay.
Yeah, I did. I did.
The Outlaws too? You checked the one with the Outlaw? You checked that one out too?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So the only one who grabbed my attention was All Eyes on Me. I felt that's the album that
California Love, right? California Love, probably the record. Okay.
Yeah.
The Shawness, man, how you feeling, man?
Shots fired, Walt. You crazy.
I'm sorry, True, man. How you feeling? So I'm gonna get to you, True, in a second. So I'm gonna ask this question real quick.
Okay.
For Deshaunus and for Andrew, who are pretty much saying that people are putting Pac in this kind of we judge Pac differently than everybody else. Why do you feel that way? Why do you feel that Pac is unfairly being judged on their rights? Why would we or whoever have the reason to misjudge Pac over all the other MCs? Drew, talk to me. What is the reason? Why are we doing it?
Why
Why are they doing it? Why are they doing it?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't know why. Because, maybe it's kind of to what you said earlier about what you started with. Your first introduction was Illmatic. So if that's what your first introduction, you're going to gravitate maybe more towards that style. So maybe that's the reason why. I don't know. I mean, only they can really answer that. But I don't know. I mean, it's unfortunate because one thing too. I lost my train of thought.
Well,
I had a great point I wanted to make.
Well, hold on to it. I'm gonna circle to the Deshaunus. Deshaunus, why do you think we're unfairly? You mentioned it. We're unfairly judging Pac. When it comes to Pac, we always switch it up. We always change the categories. Why do you feel that we're doing that? Why are we picking on him?
So I wanna redirect people to remind you what the debate is about for me. For me, I think the greater masses give Tupac a lot of respect.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This is more importantly for us. This was Pac is underrated in our Facebook in the BMOC family. And so I want to direct a couple of comments that have come from the group that sparked this. Number one. No, I'm not scared. Pac, this was said. Pac was an entertainer and an actor, nothing more, but the fans made it more. That one comment. I can easily think. No, that wasn't Chad. I can easily think. I'm going to have a whole chat segment. I can easily think of 15 people better than Pac. Lil Wayne and Wale rap like Tupac.
Lil Zane.
Lil Zane. Sorry, Lil Zane.
Oh, yeah, Lil Zane, right.
And, exactly. So I think a lot of that has to do with the beef with Big, and you said we'll get to that later, so I'll kind of stay back from that. But this is what's interesting. It's interesting how we hold everybody so close but Pac. So if I question Andre 3000 in somebody's top 10, if I question KRS-One, if I question anybody in somebody's top 10, it's like, whoa, how can you do that? But people can slander Pac, and they be like, well, yeah, Pac didn't really have the bars like that. And I'm like, wait a minute, we can compare him to Pharoah Monk. We can compare him to Lil Zane, but we can't, don't let me talk about KRS-One like he was. And that's what kind of got us riled up. And the last part I'm going to point out to the fans, Andrew's the biggest Nas fan that I know. Andrew's the biggest Nas fan, a Jay fan, followed the Dipset. I'm a Lloyd Banks, Eminem, Jay-Z. Like, these are our favorite artists.
Right.
Like, Pac is just part of we was here to see the impact. So we don't have Pac posters on the wall. Like, we listen to it every day. We just understand when there's an injustice. So it ain't just the California crew riding just to be riding. It's like, no, we see, what's going on.
Well, what else? One more.
Go ahead, Drew. I'm going to chat it.
I want to interrupt
Deshaunus.
Sure. Because it's about first of all, there's a couple of people on Twitter I have conversations with all the time about rap, and I have to defend Eminem and how I defend Tupac. And the reason why I have to defend Eminem is because they always say I can't relate to Eminem. Like, I'm like, well, I point out all the great reasons why he's a great rapper.
Right.
But they'll say I can't feel him because his perspective. I don't want to hear him rap about killing his mom or being in a trailer park, whatever.
Hate my mom. I love my daughter. Hate my mom.
Yeah, so it kind of is about what Deshaunus was saying earlier about what you choose to relate to. That's a big part of being a great MC and making people relate to you.
Right.
Like, that makes you dope, and you can't underestimate that angle of it because there's other great. Because at the end of the day, too. All of our favorite rappers, they all got some kind of hole that you can critique them on. But there is, for some reason, we do in our group, for some reason, Pac always gets the brunt of it. Nobody talks about what Jay-Z's doing. Nobody talks about holes in what Big did or what M or Rakim or anybody else. But whoever, everybody, but Pac gets it the most, and we ignore all the other shortcomings that every other artist has. And that's the part that's weird to me.
Okay, so Drew made a good one. So Chad, how do you feel about this, man? Do you think we unfairly, and by we I mean just the people who don't like Pac, do you think it's an unfair treatment of Tupac for the other artists?
No way, man. Not at all. Not even a little bit. I feel like every artist is gets their fair amount of criticism. The thing about Pac is that we treat him like he's a deity, a rap god, and he's not. I mean,
a rap god he is.
Everybody in BMOCTV is touchable. Like, we touched Michael Jackson. One got to go. Michael Jackson had to go. I mean, we're fair. We are fair in the group. And I feel like
Chad is like anybody. That's true. Chad is like anybody. He's like J. Cole.
Anybody can get it. But Tupac especially, like if you was to come at me and say the same thing about Nas is overrated, I will back it up with his bars and songs why he's not overrated. With Pac, y'all just say, oh man, he was the most impactful, but give me some bars, give me some music that say he isn't overrated. When you're a rapper, you're considered the best rapper. You're considered one of the best rappers. You're in the top 5. You only have, in my opinion, Pac only has one classic album and maybe a second one that was dope. The rest of those albums, to me, are just, I mean, I could take them or leave them. I mean, give me All Eyes on Me and Machiavelli. You can keep the rest of his catalog. I mean, there's songs here and there. There's songs here and there, but give me All Eyes on Me and Machiavelli. And Me Against the World is cool, you know what I'm saying? It's some tracks on there I really like, but the rest of his catalog, Tupacalypse Now, Drink Coaster.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Strictly for my ends, Whammo Frisbee.
Chad.
What? Wait, hold on. Wait, Strictly for my ends is a straight up Frisbee? Like, are you?
Yes, look at the track list and then tell me what's dope on there besides the singles.
I'm gonna look it up.
And see, that's where we gotta stop thinking that we, as you know, the small hip hop heads are bigger than the masses. There are 75 million people telling you Pac is good, but you tell me, okay, you said you can point where the bar. Now tell me which Little Brother track got an impact like Keep Your Head Up. Because it's a balance. You a Little Brother fan, you have Little Brother in your top 10, and Lupe in your top 10, who's one of my top 5 favorite rappers. But where's the impact if only 19 of us are feeling it, and 75 million are feeling Pac? We just the only thing that matters? So tell me which Little Brother track got impact like Pac, if we go balance.
Okay.
I think.
Wait, hold on. Let me get to Chad, let me get to Chris. Chad, real quick.
In order to have an impact like that, you have to have the platform. Little Brother never had that platform. I mean, they have a song addressing that. It's called N Words Ain't Listening. If you listen to the listener, they talk about people don't even know the names of their songs because they're not back. They don't have a major backing. I mean, like BET. If BET's not playing your record and MTV's not playing your record, how are you gonna get your music out? I mean, this was back in those days. This is not now. Little Brother has since broken up, but I mean, you can't have the impact without the platform. They never had the platform. But bar for bar, Fonte Coleman, I mean, I'm not gonna say he's better than Pac. That would be a reach. But because I mean, even though I'm not, Pac is not on my top. even if Pac is not in my top 10, I'm not going to disrespect the man and be like, this rapper who never did anything is better than him. But, I mean, I can name 10 rappers that are better. But Little Brother is not one.
Name them. Chad, 10 rappers better than Tupac. Name them.
All right. I'm going to start off with Christopher Wallace.
Notorious.
Jadakiss. Lupe Fiasco.
Lupe.
Rakim. Jay-Z. Nas. Big Pun.
Pun 7.
Nas.
You already said Nas.
I already said Nas.
Okay.
Andre 3000. Scarface.
Scarface. Got one more.
The next one I would say is, did I say M already?
I don't think you said M. I don't think you said M.
Can I ask?
That's 10. That's 10.
That's 10. Deshaunus.
So, in one of our Pac debates, you said that you rock with Cube and DJ Quick more than Pac. Which Quick albums do you do? I want to test the validity. You rock which Quick albums are these you knocking, and which songs? Are you really a Quick fan? Or you just throwing names out there?
Which quick song?
Which quick albums are you messing? You said you like Quick more than Tupac in our post. Which Quick albums do you like?
I could name the DJ Quick albums.
Which ones?
Right.
Which one? Which one?
Which one? Which one?
Just give me 2 or 3 that you like.
Yeah,
You like them more than
All right. You put me on the spot. It's been a while since I messed with the Quick albums, but
get that Google working.
I mean,
we can move on. We can move on.
Quick is the name. You know, the Midnight Life. You know, that was 2014.
This is what Chad's doing right now. Michael Jordan.
Yo, that is Mr. Fantastic right now.
Chris, man. Chris, man. Holla at me, man. You had a point, man.
Yeah, man. So, I just feel like this whole thing is boiling down to people making lyricists and MC synonymous, and I don't think it is. Like, I really don't think it is. I'm guilty of that because my 2 favorite MCs all time are Biggie and Nas. So, like, I'm very much in that camp. But at the same time, you got to understand it's a big spectrum. Hip hop is a much bigger playground, and we can't deny the impact that Tupac has had, and that impact alone makes him worthy of being in the conversation. Your top 10 is your top 10, but you can't act like he's null and void, you know?
I'm not doing that.
So Chris, I want to bring to a point. So let's get to this Biggie situation. So we know the story. For the people who may not be big hip hop fans, there was a point, youngins, that Biggie and Tupac were friends. Tupac had already had Chief Success. Biggie was coming up. They were showing each other a lot of love. Tupac happened to be recording at Quad Studios here in New York City. Unfortunately, he got shot, and the stories kind of differ. And so then once Tupac was able to kind of like gain more consciousness and was in the hospital, he pretty much said that like he felt that Biggie had him set up. He felt like, how come Biggie's supposed to be the kingpin in New York and didn't know? Like, he knew he was going to be in the studio. People knew he was going to be in the studio. He gets shot there. Biggie has to be recording in the area, but he gets shot. So this starts this whole East Coast, West Coast beef where the magazines were profiting, the record companies. Pop put out, hit him up, talked about he effed the guy's wife. He's big, all this stuff.
It's all about Versace. You copied my style?
Yeah, exactly. Biggie didn't directly respond, but had who shot you, was reportedly recorded before the incident even happened. So he didn't say Tupac's name in a record, but he did allude to him on the song with Bone Thugs and Harmony, and So Long People, You Know Who, and Long Kiss Goodnight, the alleged shots at him. So a lot of people were put into this thing of like, well, if I'm East Coast, I can't like Pac. I don't care if I like the Pac song. I can't like Pac, so therefore the song could be cool, but because I'm East Coast Biggie, I can't rock with Pac. And there's some people
like Funkmaster Flex.
Right, Funkmaster Flex. People on the West Coast were like, Biggie's cool, he's all right, but if I like Biggie, I can't like him no more because I'm rocking with Pac. Pac is rocking the West Coast, so I'm with it. So I think maybe that kind of stems into it, of like people who caught on to hip hop a little later, and because they're so East Coast, well, I like Biggie, so I can't like Pac. I don't want to listen to him. I don't want to give him a shot. And to be honest with you, I found more West Coast cats that like both the East Coast cats that like Pac.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna keep it, and I'm East Coast.
Funny.
I'm East Coast, and I'm born in Virginia. I'm East Coast, but I find that some of the West Coast guys are more open to both, and some of the East Coast cats may not be as open to both. And I've seen it from both standpoints. My LB, he's from New York, upstate New York, and he loves Tupac more than he loves Biggie. So sometimes you can't call it, but I do feel like the East Coast West Coast beef kind of put this like divide in the middle of like, if you like Tupac, you're basically saying F Biggie, and if you like Biggie, you're basically saying F Tupac instead of just enjoying their music. Drew, what you have to say about that?
And I see more New York rappers copy Pac than they copy Big.
Who? I can't.
Jim Jones.
Drew, I can't hear you.
50. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Who? When did we?
Jim Jones.
Jim Jones.
50.
50.
Ja Rule. DMX. They're all. Jay-Z didn't make Me and My Girlfriend. That didn't happen. I'm all bugging.
But Jay-Z quotes a ton of steals a ton of Biggie lines.
Yeah, I mean Jay-Z quotes everybody.
Well, that's another hole. That's what I'm saying. Jay-Z got holes like that. That's a whole other conversation. That was on top of my head. I just named those guys who all try to be like Pac.
I'm picking up my brother. Chad.
Or Cam redid Ambitious as a writer.
That's true. And Meek Mill just did it as well on his album.
Exactly.
This wasn't probably the best example.
Pac was reaching after Trench. You gonna use that argument? You can say Pac was copying Tretch to a degree.
That's a good point. Because Tretch had
Tretch is from Jersey, and him and Tretch was cool. I'm talking about these people, these New York fans hate on Pac, but they favorite rappers. But their favorite rappers be copying Pac.
Chat, how do you feel about this, man? Do you feel like the whole East Coast, West Coast thing kind of played into maybe people's decisions of why they feel what do you feel about Pac and Biggie?
Honestly, yeah, I feel like a lot of people are influenced by that because, I mean, in every beef, a lot of people feel as if they have to choose a side, and depending on which side you chose, you know, if you chose Pac, you're gonna ride for Pac, and you might not give Biggie a chance, or vice versa. But for me, in that situation, you know, the beef to me, you know,
be honest.
I mean, to me, it was just like I felt like Pac was just trying to. When Pac got out the hospital, Biggie was the biggest rapper in the game. And what way to get on at your new label than to go at the king right now? So I feel like he went at the king. It was a major move. He was a marginal rapper going at the big dog. And once you get the big dog's name in your mouth and you get all that swirling, you get all the swirling around, you know, your name swirling in with the hottest rapper in the game right now. I mean, that makes your star brighter. Look at the Drake Meek Mill situation. A lot of people didn't know who Meek Mill was before the situation. And even though Drake washed him, Meek Mill's name is on the tongue of a lot of people that were not speaking on him before. And I feel the same way.
If he's a marginal rapper, how come Madonna's writing letters in jail? How come the biggest record contracts when he's coming out of jail? Why is he coming out and selling 10 million records? Like, how if he's just a regular rapper? You're a regular rapper, that doesn't happen.
I mean,
Madonna's sending you letters in jail.
But I mean,
you're a regular guy. MTV did it. You come home, MTV does the special with you.
Well,
like for a regular guy, he ain't Keith Murray. Like, what you talking? That's a regular guy.
Wait.
That's a regular guy.
Hold on. Okay, listen.
Oh man,
come on, man.
I know we're getting passionate right now. We can't come at the Death Squad. We can't do that right now. Deshaun, do you think the East Coast, West Coast thing kind of plays into this whole situation?
It's interesting when you hear the passion people, you know, primarily that ride with Big and from the East Coast speak, you always get around to two things. Pac wasn't really from the West Coast, and he was just this fake thug persona, whoop. You know, like my homie Lance said, you know, it was only, you know, 3 or 4 cats that in the heyday can walk around California without much security in any neighborhood, and Pac was one of them. So I mean, it's in New York. So I mean, it's like, yeah, Pac was a young cat, and yeah, he has some different sides to him. But if he's over here in California for so long, in every hood, up and down the coast, and they're saying he's good, at a point in time, you're good. Now, as it pertains to him and Biggie, now it's all these different, you know, like Walter, we was joking about caping for Pac, and I was like, man, when we talk about Pac, you have to just kind of state facts. When folks are quote unquote caping for Big, it's a lot of interpretation. Like, okay, well, Big didn't respond because, you know, he didn't want to risk innocent lives. But
he said that. He actually said that, and Diddy said that too on record. They said it.
Right, and I'm saying, like, but then you decided you wanted to risk those lives by who shot you and a long kiss goodnight, which people would already interpret as going at Pac. So if you didn't want to risk them, you would have went super conservative. And
you never said Pac's name.
How you sneak this when somebody coming at your throat? You sneak this in.
And here's another thing too.
He never said his name.
That's hella weird.
Hold on real quick. So for the audience,
Pac bit your head off and you sneak this in.
Well, hold on real quick. So we're talking about. I want to just explain this to the audience. The audience may be confused. So when I mentioned Tupac had hit him up, the hit him up video, look it up. He has a fake Biggie in it. He's saying, Biggie, I effed your wife. It was super direct. Biggie didn't come directly at Tupac because they were saying, we want this to escalate. We know Pac has riders. We know Biggie has riders. So if we address this directly, things could get crazy. And so people make this assumption that Biggie didn't want to respond because he was afraid. And some people's argument is, well, he said he didn't want to escalate the war. That's why he didn't name drop Tupac. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear in terms of what the cases are. So Deshaun, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now think about this. People have an issue with Pac being a major contradiction. Biggie talked about gunplay and being a thug in every rhyme, being about that life, and then somebody finally get at you directly and your girl, and now you're talking about, well, I don't want to risk innocent lives. And I'm not saying that's the wrong decision, because that's the decision I would make. But I also wouldn't rap about my boy Gutter, kidnapping kids and throwing them over the bridge. Like, you can rap all that and kidnap kids, and you can sneak in and, ends gotta bleed. Every rhyme you got is about robbing, stealing, killing, and then somebody finally get at you. It's East Coast, West Coast, and you like, nah, well, I really don't want to risk no lives. Like, how's that not the biggest contradiction ever? Like, exactly, like but we got a problem with Pac showing different elements of him, but we don't have a problem with somebody getting at you and then you don't defend it. I really feel like we always have an issue with the perceived bully. Like, Pac was black and white with his beef like 50 is, but people don't like 50 for smashing on Ja and everybody, because they like, look, I come from the streets, and it's black and white. You with me or you against me, and then everybody turns that and makes that the enemy.
Chad, how do you feel about that, man? Do you feel that Biggie should have responded directly? How do you feel about what Deshaun just said?
Okay, the thing about that is, with those other beefs, it was gonna stay on wax. If you know the situation gonna escalate, and it's already been like different situations that done jumped off, like the bodyguards and stuff smacking people at parties, making them drink pee, all those rumors that came out. The beef is already left to a situation to where it's out of your hands. Why would you throw fire on that flame if it's not gonna stay on wax? What Pac did was he put fire on the situation, and then it got out of control, and 2 people ended up losing their life. Biggie foreseeing that, and he chose to go take the high road. But when it was rap beef, it wasn't like Biggie wanted to rap. I think he wanted to do a rap beef as to where him and Pac go verse for verse. But when the situation got out of control, like when people start getting smacked in the streets for real and people start losing their lives for real, that's a situation where you don't want it to go. The rap beef is fun until people start dying. You don't want nobody to die.
But why would Big want to make it? But why would Big want to make it a rap beef when Pac's whole angle was, I got shot downstairs from where you was at in your city? It's automatically not a rap. It's automatically not a rap beef. So why would that even be Big's mindset? That doesn't make any sense. You know what this stems from. It's something different already. So there's no place where it would have been, oh, well, maybe I want to keep it rap. I got shot on your watch, pretty much. If I'm going to Deshaun's house, I'm going out of town to somebody, hang out with somebody I know, and I get shot in their front yard.
He wasn't coming to hang with Biggie. He wasn't coming to hang with Biggie.
Yeah, right. and this is my question, and Chris, I want you to answer this as well. Do we feel, because listen, Pac felt this was what happened to him. To this day, there's no concrete proof. It's just a feeling that he felt because he was in New York. You just said Biggie was recording it around the studio, so he felt that way. But could it have been paranoia? Could it have been something that maybe Suge Knight hyped up because Biggie was on top and he wanted that competition? Could that have been the case that was blown out of proportion, and Biggie, them being prior friends, saying, yo, listen, man, we were cool. I didn't have nothing to do with this. You're blowing it up. Is there a chance that Biggie didn't want to respond because he just didn't want to take it that far? Because Biggie was a lyrical dude. It wasn't like he couldn't rhyme. It wasn't like he wasn't already considered the best lyricist at that time. So, Chris, how do you feel about that? Is that a possibility that Biggie just didn't want to respond because of the Flames being a fan?
Yeah, I don't want to do this revision of history that turns Biggie into some sort of like peaceful visionary, or that turns Biggie into some sort of like
Thank you,
microphone. I don't like either of those narratives at all. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, bro.
Talk to me.
Because I think what's important to understand and remember is that it's not as if Biggie just stayed completely silent. He said the Faith had twins, she probably had Tupacs. We had a on August night. He threw playful jabs at it. What really strikes me is something that you saw Jay take to a whole nother level once he became king of the game, which is that Biggie really didn't feel like he had to address folks as much as he would just like sort of napalm you. You know what I mean? Like he would come with a kick in the door, and you wouldn't even know who the song was about. He just was squashing somebody. It was about Nas, but he was just coming through this stomping on people's toes regardless. So I think the whole issue with him and Pac, though, is that if I had to inquire, I would imagine that he just really respected the friendship that was there, that Pac was someone that helped Biggie get on, and he was still loyal to that. If I've had fallen out with friends before, and if I'm going to be disrespected by them. Me disrespecting them and just saying that the friendship is truly dead rather than rectifying the situation. This ain't just two rivals. These are people who were great friends and were partners. I remember being a little kid in Brooklyn, the whole feeling of the day was more betrayal than anything else because we felt that like it was all good with Pac rather than it being some sort of like East Coast, West Coast thing. That was much later when like the media and everything was evolving. But on the day-to-day street level of people who love the music and love the culture, it felt more like, whoa, what's going on? This ain't how it's supposed to be.
And you know what's interesting thing about that is like, I remember, you know, Eminem and Royce da 5'9", they were good friends at one point, probably deeper friends than Pac and Biggie. And so Eminem made diss songs about Ja Rule, diss songs about Limp Bizkit, and all these different people that he wanted to name, but Benzino, he went in. But when Royce da 5'9",
who cares about Benzino anyway?
I know, but when Royce da 5'9" dissed his whole entire crew, Eminem held back. He was like, I could diss you, but if I sign off on this completely, you could get hurt out here. And Eminem was no punk, so it's almost a comparative thing. With like, we know Eminem is lyrically could have probably killed it, but he chose not to. So Deshaunus, is there? I know your feelings on it, but is there a slight possibility that Biggie chose not to because he just didn't want to do it?
The biggest difference I'll say is this: we hear rumors about an unreleased Tupac diss from Jay-Z, and they're rumors and they're unreleased. Once you start taking jabs, it's hip hop. Jabs is the same, and that's what I'm saying. Like, now, can I say if Biggie was really thinking it? I don't know. That's for a fan's interpretation. But for me personally, if I'm in Pac's camp, I'm like, look, man, like he didn't come right at you, but I mean, we all know. That's the thing I'm saying. Like, sometimes it's very vague. I still don't know who T.I. was talking about when I'm talking to you because he named every rapper and said he was talking to them. But we knew who Big was talking about. So just because he didn't say Pac don't mean, you know what I'm saying? So that's what's like, either you are really that cautious and you care about lives and you wouldn't even play with it by dropping 2 or 3 tracks saying, you know, subliminal disses, or you're not that careful, you just gonna go at him. I don't like the in-between. And that's why I'm saying, like, I don't want to give him that credit. But it is possible to answer your question.
So, Chad, name one good thing about Tupac.
When it comes to the content of his songs, he's the best at that. Like he touches some issues, and he has some lines that when certain things happen, I repeat those lines. One of my favorite Pac lines is when he says they have a war on drugs, but not a war on poverty, so the police can come and bother me. I think I butchered that, but that's one of my favorite Pac lines because
your flow was terrible.
but that's one of my favorite Pac lines because it's real. It's like, but I mean, but you can't give me that for 16 bars though. You know?
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to have a positive note. Deshaunus, tell me one thing that you think Pac could have had more improvement on, or maybe something that you didn't care for.
Oh man, when it's all said and done, man, I love lyrics, man. Lyricism is great, and it's like I'm telling you, it's funny because, you know, Drew will tell you, we growing up, I was always, you know, one of the dudes in the crew that was like, nah, man, it's about lyrics. You know, Pac is too simple. So I understand that argument, but it was we was always debating whether he was better than him and Jay. We was always debating within the top 5. We came to the group and it was like we debating if he top 25, and I was like, whoa, you know, wait a minute, you know what I'm saying? So he definitely, you know, could improve the lyricism, and you know, and I would say he could improve, you know, the sound quality in some of the albums, you know, the albums and things like that. But it really was just like a community dude who was just stopping by, writing bars in your local studio. I mean, everybody from Sacramento to Oakland did a Pac track. He was just kind of putting on for Cali, so it wasn't like today where you're in these, you know, studios all the time and it's 100 guys proofing it and you got 100 minds on a song. It was just act in there getting it in, you know. So he could have definitely fine-tuned some things in his music.
Chris, Pac or Biggie, in terms of who, if you had one CD to listen to right now, that let's say one artist you're gonna listen to forever, you had to choose either Biggie or Pac, which one would you choose?
Biggie.
Why?
I feel like Biggie's someone who I could have given the Yellow Pages to, and he would make that sound like a top 5 greatest albums of all time.
Domino's and the Little Caesars and the Pizza Hut.
Such a masterful flow. I'm telling you, it would have been like Animal Rescue or something. It would have just been incredible. And so you have that incredible flow. And plus, you know, Biggie was known as the Alfred Hitchcock of the game at one point too, just a master storyteller. Like if I had to listen to one MC forever, if I had to go to a foreign planet and they want to know what hip hop was, I'd bring Biggie. That's it.
I forgot you from Brooklyn. I'm going to Drew. I forgot you. I'm joking. Drew, you said that Nas is probably your favorite MC. So if I gave you the same question, you get to listen to just Nas or Tupac for the rest of your life, and just pick one, would you pick either Nas or Tupac?
Nas.
Why?
Because I think Nas is better than everybody. So
me too. we agree on that.
I think we all agree on that, probably.
Because you know, like I look at, and this is one reason I feel like Nas is the best. You look at Big. Okay, so you listen to Cuban Links, and you hear Ray and Ghost talking about Big biting off Nas. You listen to All Eyes on Me. Pac took Nas's beat. He took Nas's concepts on that album. You listen to Jay. Jay was taking Nas lines in the middle of the beef. Like so. Like you see Nas's impact. Like nobody wants no problems when Nas here, not at all. So definitely Nas.
Serge, man, you tell me you don't like Pac. Pac's not even in your top 500 list ever. You tell me.
Wow.
You tell me 10 MCs that you think are better than Tupac, man. Since you don't like Pac that much.
Pac is like George Washington to Serge. Serge,
give me 10 MCs, man, from the 90s who are better than Tupac. From the 90s.
From the 90s?
90 to 99, who? Give me 10.
Black Thought is from the 90s, right? He's
yeah. The Roots.
Pharoah Monch. KRS-One. Nas. Let me just think.
Hold up. Yeah, 4.
Hold up. Biggie. Raz Cass. 6.
Ooh. Okay.
Let me think. Chino XL.
Wait, Chino?
Nah.
Isn't he from the 90s?
No, I don't think.
I mean, he's from the 90s. I just don't think he's better than.
Sunday night football, so I ain't no time for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, be that doing that. It's 6. What you got?
I know so many, but Common. Yeah, Common.
You got 3 more. You're struggling. You got 3 more.
Rakim. I got Rakim at 8.
Okay.
Come on. 2 more. Eminem, just because he came with Infinite. Eminem. He came in the 90s with Infinite, 1996.
Okay.
I think Eminem's first joint dropped in '99 though.
Yeah,
I think
and Infinite.
It's 1996. It's Infinite and Jay-Z because we have Reasonable Doubt.
No, man, you struggled on that. You were struggling.
I can't name it off the top, man.
Yeah, Chino XL.
Right. Okay.
Chino XL is the only one I think is a reach.
So Serge was like, I think.
Cash.
Serge like, was Drake in the 90s or was Drake in? What did you Drake? Any last words to shout out on this whole Tupac thing, man? What are some last things you want people to know when they're putting Tupac in these categories and talking about his lyricism? What are some things you think people should just really think about when they're placing Tupac in these lists, man?
Just understand there's all facets of the game. You know, like you can have your top list and then your favorite list, and they could be different, but you know, let's not just be ridiculous with mixing them up. You gotta, and I'm not saying you gotta keep nobody, you know, just based on legendary status. If you really think, you know, Kendrick or the next guy's gonna be better than Pac, that's fine. But the drop from so far, 75, million plus albums, and dude been gone since 96. Like we talking crazy. So just keep it in perspective. You know, the overall artist matters. And lastly, I love bars, but if you ask execs, you know, who they go out here to try to find more, a dude that can make a hit or a dude that can write bars, they'll let you know the hits are at a premium. Yeah. That's the reason why we talking about the whole Drake ghostwriting thing, because it's like we want Drake delivering that because he can get the hits. It ain't just about the bars. So we, in this small circle, always tend to put lyricism on a million, but then we still rocking out to, you know, the trap beats in the club. So
good point, Chad. What are some thoughts people should really think about, man? This whole Tupac thing, or why they shouldn't put Tupac on this list, man, the top 10 list.
Man, Pac, you know, he's the most impactful rapper. He the icon. If hip hop had a logo, he'd be Jerry West on that. And I say that to say this. Just because Jerry West the logo, I mean, he the best player to ever play basketball. Just like Pac might be the logo of hip hop, but he's not the best rapper to ever do it. I mean, I can't put another rapper I can't put Pac ahead of rappers that have like 3-4 classics. And that's where it goes with me. It's about the classics, the albums, the content. But I mean, Pac, I'm not trying to take away anything he did. He was the most impactful rappers, one of the pioneers of being the rapper turned actor, one of the pioneers of that, you know. And I mean, he did a lot for hip hop. I think he did more for hip hop than any other rapper ever. Like nobody's done more than hip hop.
More than Jay-Z, more than Eminem, just don't
more than Jay-Z, more than Eminem, more so. I mean, you just had the president from Russia say that he hates everything about America except for Tupac. I mean, that's worldwide global impact.
Good points, man. Drew, man, what's some things people should consider, man, when they talk about Tupac?
You know, I feel like one of the things that's missing to me the most in rap right now is the real, and I think Pac gave the real better than anybody. Like I said, all different phases of human emotion, touching on different subjects. You know, social commentary. Like, you know, I feel that's one of the things that's mainly missing right now, and he gave us that. So that can't be underestimated. I feel like if Pac was around, or if there was somebody like that around, you know, rap would be in a better place. Definitely.
Yeah, people always say if Pac was out, he'd be Malcolm X, he'd be Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
I'm like, Pac would have been giving some speeches, but I mean, he probably would have been an actor, probably been in Hollywood chilling. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all, you know, going to.
Yeah, I won't say if he was necessarily here.
The real is back though.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, like Tupac was. Don't get me wrong, Tupac was a very enlightened guy, and I'm sure he would have given speeches.
A lot of young thug kind of stuff out here, man.
The real is back though, Andrew. I feel like J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar bringing the real back to hip hop, man. I really do. I feel like they are.
Yeah.
They're ushering that era in.
Yeah, I thought you ain't like J. Cole.
I don't, but I respect his movement. I respect his grind. I mean, he's out there at the Million Man March. He's out there at Ferguson. I mean, he's behind his bars. He spits what he believes. Just because I think they're a little snoozy doesn't mean I'm going to go out and say he does not make an impact.
The real that I'm talking about, though, is a little different than that. It's not necessarily the real as far as, you know, are you going to go march? You know, it's the real. I'm not talking about necessarily. You know,
like Tupac was going for president or something.
It's not necessarily that kind of real. It's
what 50
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I'm not allowing that gray area stuff. Like, either you're doing this or you're doing that. This is the lane we in. I'm not doing all that in between. AAU, we all friends stuff. Like, you with us or we riding, you know, and it don't got to be all off wax, but, you know, 50, that's how him and Game came about. Like, man, you can't be over here recording with Fat Joe and Jada. They coming at my neck, and now we supposed to be G-Unit because you're selling records with me. Like, nah, we know where we stand.
Yeah, it's a good point. Chris, how do you feel, man? So what are some points we should think about, man, with this whole Tupac debate? What are some things you think people maybe forget when they debate this?
I think the main thing that we forget is just how young he was, man. Like, I think for so long I thought of him as just larger than life, and he is in many respects larger than life. But, you know, now being older than 25 and looking back at it, it makes me marvel at what he was talking about to some degree. Obviously, some things he did sound like a 20-something when he was talking about it. But, I mean, I just wonder where this brother would have gone. You know, he'd have been in his 40s now. What would he be doing? Obviously, he'd still be making music. He probably would have been acting, and maybe he would have done some political work for sure. But I wonder how what would be the equivalent of his "Life is Good" moment? Like, I wonder what.
He'd have been Ice Cube. He'd have been Ice Cube.
Yeah.
He'd have been Ice Cube to me. I think he would have been an actor. He would have done some rapping, maybe done some speeches, some panels more than Ice Cube. But I think Ice Cube is probably the closest thing you would get to see what Pac is. That's my honest take. I think
musically though, because I love Cube as well, but I feel like Cube's music did fall off from like 2006.
He falls hard.
That verse of the documentary is hard, man. Don't trip. Surge, man.
Whenever Why We Thugs came out, that was the last one that I really liked.
You can do it, put your back into it.
Exactly.
That joint was hard. Bye, Felicia. Surge, man. What's some last points, man, you want to get off about why people should not like Pac like that? What are some thoughts?
Well, I'm gonna be a positive man right now because despite the fact me being anti-Pac, I still think we all should be grateful to Pac because if it wasn't for him, there would be no J. Cole and no Kendrick Lamar right now. We should be really praise him for what he did, even though, yeah, I'm not a big fan of his music.
It's like somebody
I agree.
It's like somebody saying, you know what? I don't really like you, but I like what you produce. I
agree.
I like the student. I like the teacher. The teacher, you whack. But everybody you taught is excellent.
I agree. I agree with Serge. I agree with Serge about the whole fact that if we didn't have Pac, we wouldn't have J. Cole and Kendrick. But I also agree we probably wouldn't have Young Thug and other people like that as well. I mean, they're byproducts of. They're byproducts of Pac as well. I mean, I feel like Young Thug.
Wait.
That's no way right there.
I was going to try to end this thing off, but you got to explain that.
That's definitely the little way.
Yeah, how was Young Thug on the tree of Tupac? Please explain yourself.
Okay, the whole like the way he raps and like the things he says, like that whole mentality, him trying to live his raps. Like, I feel like Pac influenced that whole culture of, like, MCs trying to live their raps, like Young Thug and the Bobby Shmurdas of the world. Like, you didn't have a record. You didn't have a record until you got a record deal type things with those kind of guys. The Rick Rosses. I feel like Pac is a byproduct. They're byproducts of Pac.
Yeah, and so that's a good point. The Shaughnessy and Drew, yes, you guys are probably Pac more experts than we are. Did Tupac have any type of known felonies or charges before he got a record deal, before he got with Suge, or was that kind of after the record deal? The Shaughnessy?
I ain't speaking on Pac record in front of the world.
It's public record. Like
what record? They better Google themselves.
But I'm saying, okay, Drew, was he known as somebody who was that? Because he was known like that when he got on, but before that, was he? Because Biggie, we know, like, for example, we can compare Biggie, and this is some point that I missed. A lot of people say the whole Biggie and Tupac thing. Biggie didn't respond because Biggie was from the streets, and Biggie knows how things can get. Tupac necessarily may not have been brought up in the streets, so maybe he lived by a different code of ethics that Biggie did. Not saying that Pac was soft, but Biggie may have seen more violence and more turmoil with beef at a younger age to be like, you know what, I want to get away from that, versus Pac may have been trying to prove himself because he's with Death Row. Could there be some validity to that?
Well, I mean, even like as far as you said before, did he have those things happen?
A known street guy,
before Suge or before he got a deal?
Okay, before Suge.
Because the situation with the cops in Atlanta, that was before Death Row.
Right, he was in jail.
When he shot the police, that was before Death Row.
Right.
He had a record deal though.
Yeah, Suge bailed them out. Okay, so what did you, based upon Tupac's legacy, was he a known street cat before he got a record deal? Period.
See, I don't think Pac was ever a street cat in terms of like I'm hustling and then going out here robbing folks. Pac was a street cat because he was in the streets, and that's what mattered. Like, he was coming to your local city, not trumped up with security, hanging out at your barbecue like it was poetic justice, and that makes you a street cat. I mean,
no, it doesn't.
When he was living in Marin, like Pac talking about when he was living in Marin or the jungle, he was talking about how, like, you know, he learned from the guys in the neighborhood, like the drug dealers and pimps, and those guys allowed him to be around, and he took from them, and he was good. Like, it's like if you're good everywhere you go, what's more hood than that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, suckers can't go where they want to go. If you a punk, you a sucker, you can't go where you want to go. And that's what I mean by the real, when I was saying the real earlier. Not without a situation happening, not without it being a problem.
The thing about that,
you can't just be in LA. You can't just go down to LA where there's all these gangs and everything going on where people are so territorial, especially in LA. And claim that wherever you want to go and do that in the Bay, in the Marin, and just do that off the strength. Like, that's not allowed, dog. Riding topless around in Harlem. He ain't get shot in Harlem. He was riding around in
Manhattan, in
a shop, and ain't nobody do nothing.
Yeah. All right, hold on, Drew. Chad, give me a rebuttal for that.
All right, I got a question. Well, my thing is, how many thugs you know that went to a performing arts school? And I'm just gonna go ahead and like with Pac, I mean, he had the goons with him. I mean, when you got people you know, I might not be the dude that people are afraid of, but I got dudes with me. Every time you seen Pac gooning when they beat up the Hughes brothers, he had like 30 goons with him. When they stopped out Orlando, he had Suge Knight and all them goons with him. If I got 50 goons with me, of course I'm not gonna be able to be touched.
That's not true. That's not true. How come every when Wayne and them came to LA and Wayne and Baby, they wouldn't get out their car?
Yeah, they got checked.
But you was blooding so hard, but you couldn't get out the whip. When they come to a bunch of rappers who did happen, but stuff that you come to the Bay, there's a lot of list of rappers who left with bullet holes in their cars and tour buses.
Yeah, I ain't playing with y'all.
That dude that get robbed. You saw what happened to 2 Chainz. You saw what happened to 2 Chainz when he was out here.
I ain't playing with Trick.
It goes down.
I ain't playing with Fat Joe. It's the certain cats you don't play
with. In California, like, I don't say I don't do it personally, but the mentality of guys out here, when these rappers come out here, they fool. That's the definition of that's what's happened when you come out here. So Pac to be able to move how he wanted to move, and ain't nothing happened, and everybody accepted it.
I mean, when you got the backing of the people with you, but ultimately, I mean, I hate to say it, ultimately, you know, look at the end result.
Right.
That's something else.
I mean, that's sad. That's sad, you know. I mean, look at the end result. Everybody can get touched, you know. I mean, he was like Pacquiao in the Philippines when he was at home in Cali, but I mean, I don't know if he got set up or what was surrounding that incident that happened, but man, anybody can be touched out here in these streets.
It's tough when you get killed like at home. Like, you know what I mean? That's crazy. Deshaun, how do you feel, man?
I was gonna say, man, one thing Chad and I have always saw it like eye to eye on was The Wire. And Chad, I mean, you didn't have to see Avon and Marlo body nobody, but the fact that they had the biggest hitters on the show with him kind of told you what their character was like. And if Pac went state to state with what you call the goons, that show you what his character was like, man. You don't just break through them inner city circles in California by just putting on an acting show. I don't care what school you went to, because you're in that life every day. So that kind of should be all the validation that people need, is like, he don't have to go rob people. They were just like, man, I talked to this dude. I've been in the studio with him. This is my guy. And people still putting on for him 20 years later. Like, that's crazy.
True.
And Dub C has that same kind of credibility. He had that same kind of credibility, but people still don't always shout them out the same way they do Pac. Think about that. Like, and them guys came from it.
What happened with Big? What happened to Big when he came out here? When he was in SAC? China, as you know, right?
Yeah. We heard the story. Folks at home, if you want to know, just research some Biggie, E40, tobaccos or whatever. You want to just Google it. I'm not gonna stay on there. Just Google it. Yeah. Okay. All right. So tonight, man, I think if I had to be honest, man, I think Team Pac may have won this round. I don't know, man. Chad, man, how do you feel? Do you feel like you lost, man?
No, of course not. You know me.
Because you a rider.
Chad don't have no horse in this race. He's from Georgia, man. Ain't it Augusta? He's from Georgia, man. Like,
hey, I will say this, Augusta, Georgia, man, we founded hip hop. James Brown is the first rapper ever. You can't tell me James Brown ain't have bars.
Okay. James Brown is the most sampled artist in hip hop, right? But you need somebody so rhyming over the beats, so we can't just give him all of that. We gotta give him.
So Kendrick Lamar ain't still his flow on King Kunta?
I got a bone to pick, dude.
I could do Willin', I could do Dylan, I don't do no damn squilling. Them bars.
But we still needed my grandmaster. I was going to the store to get me a drink. We still needed that though.
Hey, y'all might lose me in these seconds because my battery's dying.
You always have complications, my dude. What's going on?
I know. I didn't charge up.
Well, hold on real quick. Chris, looking at the debate, man, who you feel got it more? Team Pac, team anti-Pac? Who made some good points tonight?
I think Team Pac, because at the end of the day, we represented for the legacy, man.
Now you hardcore Team Pac now.
No. Obviously, like, you asked me to choose at the beginning. I said, look.
Yeah, you got it.
I can't knock Pac is one of the greatest to ever do it. I feel like to ridicule him and to take him out of the conversation is just silly to me.
And you know, and the reason why I had Chris on because I think Chris is probably one of the small cats I really respect his hip hop opinion, and he happens to be from Brooklyn. So there could be no kind of biasness. He's from Brooklyn and he's Team Pac. You know what I mean?
I love your input, Chris. I loved it.
Serge, man, how do you feel, man? You did tonight. Is Pac now your top 50 at least? Did it convince you?
Well, I think I said he's in my top 50. Did I say?
Was he 49? What is he? What number is he?
Yeah, around that number.
Oh my God.
You're like 12 on my
I can't
list.
think them off top of my head, but I can give you them rappers.
And Serge, you're telling me that all last week you listened to every single Tupac album and all the songs.
Yes. in one
That's
take.
11. That's 11 joints.
And
Did his homework.
this is why, sir, you should come to school in California so you can have that Pac in your curriculum.
No, Serge, after this show, don't come to California.
I'm going to Brooklyn, man. To Brooklyn. I'm going to Brooklyn.
It is a setup. So again, I want to thank you guys so much. This has been an entertaining episode. I want to shout out everybody who's commenting on them. The last episode of The Culture. Shout out to Mr. Jordan, Justice Will Rise, Chimanaki, Joe H, MF, iFormal, Spencer, the Radio Failed TV, Ocean Sage, Romel 1981, ATT Center, Actor with a Day Job, Organized Holmes. You have an interesting name, Organized Holmes. That is dope. Casey Lorenz, Chad Grimm, Donnie Ray. What's up, Donnie? And yeah, so thank you guys so much for just commenting on it. How do you guys feel about it? Do you feel that Pac was the legend that people say he is? Do you feel he was overrated? Do you feel he's underrated? Do you feel that he didn't give enough props? So whatever you guys feel, please leave in the comments. If you want to check out more, subscribe to youtube.com/BMOCTV or BMOC.TV. I'm BMOC. Peace.